Have you ever started something new and didn't finish it?
You were excited. You invested time and money.
You got stuck.
I'm Teresa Merrick.
And I'm David B.
And this is the podcast with two ADHD entrepreneurs, and we've been there.
And worked with hundreds of people in the exact same place.
The IDKWTF I Was Doing podcast will take you away from feelings of frustration and overwhelm.
And lead you to the clarity you need to take action and get shit done.
Listen today because it's important to admit that no one really knows
what the fuck they're doing.
Welcome back, action takers, to another episode of the IDKWTF I Was Doing podcast. I am David B.
And I'm Teresa Merrick. And we are here today with our guest from UCoachia, Nancy Prager.
Welcome. Welcome. We are absolutely excited to have you here today.
I am super excited to be here. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Absolutely. So for our audience that has not met you yet, why don't you give us kind of a little bit about yourself and kind of how you got to doing what you're doing today?
Oh, my journey. So I started off in the world of coaching about 5 years ago. And I came from a background, 20 years in sales strategy, doing trainings, award-winning, all the accolades. Great. I had a health issue and made a great decision that I wanted to help other people with that same health issue. So I left a very nice 6-figure job to pursue this health coaching with absolutely no knowledge of what I was doing. And it turns out a couple things happened. I got clients and realized I was still too close to the issue, so I didn't really want to work in it. And that left me with a space of, now what do I do? So I ended up here because somebody told me, or actually asked me, why aren't you teaching people how to sell? You're really good at it. And it never occurred to me that that was an option. So I ended up going to sales coaching, and sales mentoring, and then slowly got into an enrollment team of a 7-8 figure guru that led me to basically the company I started, which is called UCoachia.
That's awesome. Tell us a little bit about UCoachia and kind of what that company does and how your path led you to UCoachia specifically.
Oh, sure. Okay. So basically, when I first started out, I went to a lead gen event that this person was running. And I want to tell you, they were so good on stage. And this is when I was doing the health coaching. And they were so good on stage. I was like, oh my gosh, whatever you're selling, I want it right now. And I happened to know somebody who was in this person's program who was claiming to be doing phenomenally well. Now, the person, this friend of mine, is a very aggressive, very, very strong, determined person and has a different style than I do. So I was a little bit like, will this work for me? Now, again, the person on stage, and let's just call that person Betty, was outstanding. And I mean, Betty could have been selling me anything I was buying yet. So Betty was selling me a $1,000 lead gen program. And it was the first time I ever spent any money on a program. And I was like, my friend's doing it. I know this person's legitimate. I'm in on Betty. Well, I get in there and there was no support. It was me and a group of about 200 people completely confused and disoriented. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm a go-getter. I can do this. I can figure anything out. And I did. And I figured out how to do it. But and that's where I got my first clients from. That's where I started learning I really don't want to work in the health space. Like a lot of revelations. And what I was told by Betty's team was if I wanted additional support, that it was a leadership issue on my side, meaning that I didn't have the internal drive and strength to do it on my own. So therefore I would need their support. How nice. And then part 2 was, but I could work with them for the leadership program for $3,000 and for the mentorship coaching program, which is like, again, group, not with Betty herself, but with groups and random coaches for $15,000. I went from $1,000
wow.
to $18,000. And I was just like, oh,
that's a leap. And they already hooked you in with the 1,000. So you're like, oh, I already invested this $1,000 and maybe I should invest more. Like, oh, that's so icky.
Yeah, it was really icky. And I was like, and I was debating it. I was like, I know somebody who did this and they're doing so well. And maybe I should do this. And maybe this is the solution. But I couldn't pull the trigger because I just couldn't wrap my head around 18 grand. It really just couldn't do it. So I left, right? Now I'm trying to find my way and I'm doing what I think a lot of people do, which is basically called YouTube and endless freebies. So I'm like kind of piecing together my own stuff and trying to figure it out. And online marketing is really just a horrible place to be. So like, I'm just trying to put all the pieces together. And I stumble across because Betty sends me an email. Okay, this is like, I did not know how all this back end stuff worked until later, but Betty sent me an email, but all of her people, saying, my friend Bill is doing this amazing event and you guys have to go to Bill. Bill's amazing. It's going to be free. It's a challenge. And I'm like, a challenge? I am like go to Bill. Okay. And I'm like, Betty said that Bill's great. I didn't know that Betty was getting paid by Bill. Betty says that Bill's great. Bill must therefore be legitimate. Bill has a program. How much is Bill's program? Oh, it's another 1,000. I'm in. I joined Bill's program and I'm like, yet again, more of the same. Like nothing's happening. It's a waste of money. It's a waste of time. And I'm like, huh. And in my head, I'm thinking, but what if I joined Betty's program this whole time and spent the $18,000? I mean, that would have been the solution. No. So leave Bill. And I'm kind of feeling like a little bit disheartened because I'm one of those people, you say to do X, Y, Z and you'll get whatever. I will literally do exactly what you tell me. And it didn't work. So I leave Bill and then I find another person. Now, this person happens to be really great, hands-on coaching, really small groups, really, really helpful. I was like, oh, this is what it could look like. And they were only $2,000. Now, mind you, at this point, I'm $4,000 in the hole and have yet to figure out my direction and I have clients, but now I'm not working with anyone. This person's great. I do start working with them. And then I find, again, like bright, shiny object syndrome. I find someone else and I'm like, here's another 1,000 for you. So it's like, wow, you get 1,000 and you get 1,000. So now what? I think I'm $5,000 or $6,000 in the hole at this point. And I do have some clients, but I haven't made enough to pay back my initial cost.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting there and I'm like, this kind of sucks. Do I need to go back to my 9-to-5 job? Like, I know I can teach people. At the time I was doing sales mentoring. I know I can do this. I've done this for 20 years, but it's the marketing piece that's killing me. Yeah. And then I get an email from Betty. Betty's looking to hire people on her enrollment team. Do you realize I can have access to the entire $18,000 program if I'm on the enrollment team? I think we all know what I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I applied for Betty's enrollment team. I was so excited. I was convinced that Betty actually, I should have at all this time had gone and joined the $18,000 program because obviously none of these other things were really, really working. So I really should have just done that. I just wasted all this money, but now it's free. And I can see the inner workings of Betty's enrollment team. I can understand her business. I can learn. I can grow. And I really believe in Betty's program. This is going to be amazing. Yeah, I mean, those rose-colored glasses were on for a couple of weeks and they came crashing down. Like they shattered.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so that's where we are. That's where kind of how UCoachia, the back end of what started it was me getting onto this enrollment team and then seeing what was really happening. And somebody who is making 7 to 8 figures a year, you would think they would have this amazing program and all this support and it would be no. And I didn't understand how it worked within these masterminds that these people are in. They spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to join a 100,000 in this case, to join a mastermind. And I didn't understand. I thought it was like people connecting with other people. I didn't know it was so that you could take your email list and basically kind of combine it with other people's email lists and like kind of sell each other's programs. And that's what they do. And these are people, just to be clear, that you guys have been seeing, and they are the top people in the industry that you know. That's who I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the people that you don't know. I'm talking about the people you know.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
not the small coaches that are actually out there doing their thing and teaching people and making a difference. It's the bigger names that are charging $18,000 for a program.
Yeah. It was horrible. And there I am in the team and I'm seeing how it worked. And like, Betty was getting a cut of Bill's program that she sent me to. I didn't know that. I didn't know that they did these cross marketing things. I was unaware that the entire thing was to get onto each other's platforms and, use each other's clients to get paid off of. So inside of,
$1,000 at a time.
Because it's just small enough. It's just small enough that people are like, I can do $1,000. I can't do 5. That's too much. I can't do 2. That's a lot. I can do 1,000 though.
I can do, and
that work.
yeah. And the big promise, like this, like they were promising, like you'll get 6 figures in 15 months. That's not true. And like, then they would like inside of Betty's program, I mean, I could see all the modules and it was just like the most basic information that you could get on a freebie. Like there was nothing like, oh my gosh, like revolutionary. And in addition, she would have guests come into the modules, like a guest speaker. What do you think that guest speaker did? Do they
Build
give
their
you enough information?
own program and told you that you needed it.
Correct. If I wanted to learn how to do this, I had to go sign up for Jane's program, for Phil's program. And it was just like, and that's how you get to 8 figures. And I was like, this is on the backs of people's dreams. And I'm sitting there in this enrollment team, listening to this load of who and hearing Betty tell people that I made all this money and you can too. And I'm like, no, they can't. And I'm supposed to be telling people who have, like, they're like, I can't afford to put my, food on my table. I'm going to lose my house. How can I get into Betty's program, which is $5,500 for the actual real program, the first introductory step program without any coaching support, no coaching support. So if you just want to do a self-directed program, it's $5,500 and it comes with like a couple different trainings, but whatever. So they're like, how can I get in there and will it really get me my money? And I'm supposed to be sitting in this enrollment team saying yes. And I can't.
No, I feel like, and for our listeners, like, because David and I talk about what it is to be stuck, like, and when you're stuck and when you don't know what to do next, and when you're worried about where, your next house payment's coming from and your groceries are coming from, you're like, how do I make this work? And unfortunately, like we have to be skeptical. We need to know who is actually legit, who's the program that is going to support you and help you. And we need to be aware that some of these programs that seem too good to be true really are.
Oh, they are. And I was like, I don't want to be a scam artist. I don't want to screw people over. I don't want to rip people's dreams away from them. Like there has to be a better way. And so I went on this massive quest because I love working in teams. I love doing sales. I love helping people. And I was like, okay, somebody has to figure this out. It turned out, no one figured it out. So I was like, well, you have a choice here. You can, this to me, you have a choice. So Nancy, you got yourself a choice. You can either just kind of give up and be like, okay, this is how it is, or you're going to solve the problem. And to solve the problem, it's not just coming up with a program that has great lessons and support and all that. That's not it. The problem is that one person doesn't have all the answers and they sell themselves as the solution. That's a freaking problem. And if you want to buy multiple experts to get all the support you need, you're going to be spending about $100,000 a month. Who has that? No one. So I was able to bring together a group of people who all feel the exact same way. And these are people who are running 6 and sometimes almost 7-figure businesses that are saying to themselves, like, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I don't want to be part of this problem anymore. I want to be part of the solution. And they came into UCoachia to teach within UCoachia, teach what they teach in their own private programs for a fraction of what it would be. So my goal in UCoachia was to make it affordable. So we have, up to at times 10 experts. Like it varies. Right now we have 5 live experts, but it goes up to 10 come in and teach. We do live classes. We have everything recorded. There's, one-on-one coaching. There's groups. It's meant to be super supportive because one person doesn't know everything. And I'm not going to pass you around all my friends trying to make a buck off you. I'm against that. So that means I have to get all my friends together.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think some of the biggest takeaways from there were that really it is $1,000 at a time, especially after 2020 hit and everyone was home. There was just a huge launch of more people making more masterminds and more groups and more coaching programs and more just digital products, really. And yeah, and it's about $1,000 at a time for whatever that person is an expert at. And they throw this course together as quickly as they can and market it as good as they can to get it to as many people, right? And so, especially because 2020 happened, there's so much content out there that it's like number one, you don't know who to go to because there are so many options. Number two, they've put out all this content and don't have the support to back it up to actually get you to the goal, right?
Mhm.
And it's like this crazy minefield to navigate when you're someone brand new trying to start your business in a completely new way of thinking, you know? And so it's great that you've created something that brings everything into one spot that someone can kind of pick and choose what they need to learn from at any given point. And I think that is something that's kind of been missing in the marketplace for a while.
Yeah, thank you. I think so too. I think of it as like a vocational school, like it's like a education, but it's people when they're first starting out, it's so hard because the people that have all the money are marketing. So that's who you're seeing. And you then
Exactly.
in marketing's amazing because like the more you see something, the more you believe that it must be real. And and by the way, the enrollment team's job is to convince you of that. So when you get into those things and you meet the enrollment team, you're like, they're amazing, they're so supportive, they're so lovely. You will never see them again in your life. And when you're looking for support, nobody's there.
Yeah,
But I would,
exactly.
yeah, and I would say, for somebody who's coming into the world of coaching, and even somebody who's been in coaching for a while and knows that they need support, like they need help, and they can't do it on their own. The one thing I would say, if you're looking for red flags to avoid, is the word guarantee.
Interesting. Why is that?
Who can guarantee your okay? Like, let's just reverse engineer this for a second.
Yeah.
Okay, you're a new business. You don't even know if you're going to succeed. How do you think I do? Like, and then they say like, oh, I guarantee your results and you can work with me until you get them. Oh, that's nice. So if it never happens, I get to work with you for life, but I paid you. How delightful. Or I'll get my money back. There's a money back guarantee. But look at the fine print, my friends. If you don't do every single thing, and I mean every single thing, which will not be possible because nobody can. It's like they'll be like, and you have to come to meetings that are at 3 a.m. and you're going to have to send us 4,000 emails, but each email has to start with the letter A on every single sentence because that's kind of how we do it. And you're going to be like, what? Like you can't do it. And then you miss one A. And they're like, I'm sorry, you didn't achieve that. So our guarantee is voided. It's not meant for you to succeed. The entire industry, you have to understand as somebody coming in, you're the commodity. You're it. You're the product. And their goal is to keep you in their system as long as humanly possible so that they can keep on getting paid from you. And that is hideous. So when you're looking at things, you want to look for the word guarantees. You want to look for things that are like, if it sounds like every single one of your problems has been solved by this person, assume none of your problems will be solved by this person. Oh, you're going to make 60 grand in 60 days. If they could do that, don't you think they'd be working for like a massive company who would be paying them gajillions of dollars to get them to make them 60 grand? If they could do 60 grand in 60 days with one little person, imagine extrapolate that. How much could they make if you gave them a budget of $1 million? The answer is nothing because they cannot make you 60 grand in 60 days. They can make themselves 60 grand in 60 days by selling you their course at $5,000 and getting 12 of you. Guess what they just did? They just made 60 grand in 60 days. And how much did you make? It's nothing, but there's a money back guarantee. As long as you put A's in front of every single thing on your email and, I'll work with you until you get the money, which will be never. So I get very angry about this because it's about seeing people stripped of what their dreams are and buying into a load of bullshit and wanting it to be real because it's where their dreams are.
Yeah. And it puts the blame back on to the consumer who has paid for this course. Then you've got that like toxicity of like, oh, but you didn't put all the A's, but you skipped this step. But it's you. And it's like, you're my coach though. And you have this promise and you're also not coaching me. I can't, like I'm reading, your stuff or watching your videos, but I'm not getting results. And they're like, well, that's something you're doing.
It's your leadership. If you cared more, are you really invested? Do you have a back door? Do you have another job that you're looking into? Have you really quit your job? If you really believed in this, then you would actually be able to do it.
And us entrepreneurs are hard enough on ourselves. We don't need someone else telling us that we're just not good enough for it because we always question if we can do the things we say we're going to do, if we can make this company work, if we can, give our clients the best when we actually are out there like in the trenches doing the work and giving our clients our best.
100%. Yes. So like there, imagine that. Like, so imagine being in that space. So And I'm getting paid on commission. So I'm getting paid to lie to these people. Could you, I mean, it's like you're like, and then sorry, John, it's the worst. I'm like, and because I can't stop myself. Like I really,
You
I
can't
will
pay for your groceries. Don't sign up. Don't.
And like, even now, like with my company, I actually tell people I don't have a guarantee. I don't have one. I mean, there's a program I'm doing right now that actually does have a guarantee, but it's a guarantee that you're going to learn how to do it. I know I can teach you. I can't promise you results. What am I like? Am I Kreskin? No. So like, it's like my company, we don't guarantee anything. You are your own guarantee of your results. I will guarantee you that you'll have the support. I guarantee you that you will have, everyone gets a personal assistant who comes in. Everyone gets, knowledge. We all give the one-on-ones. Like you're going to have the support and the direction. I can't make you do it. I can't give you 60K in 60 days. It's not happening. So that my guarantee is that you'll get a lot of no BS.
Yeah.
Well, that is definitely important. That's actually something David and I just recorded an episode, and it was like, you want people who are authentic and who, like, you can usually tell when people are kind of pouring on the BS, and you can tell when people are being real. So I love that you said that. Well, let's take a really, really quick break, and we'll be right back. Have you ever started something new that you were really excited about and invested time or money into, but after doing it for a while, you reach a point and you just feel like, I have no idea what the F I'm doing?
There's that bubbling up of frustration because you're not quite as good as you thought you'd be, or it's nowhere near as easy as you expected. Then suddenly, a wave of guilt comes at the same time, and you don't really want to or feel like you can express this to anyone.
Having a dream you want to accomplish can be very sad and isolating. It's lonely because visionaries tend to see the world the way that it could be instead of settling for the way the world currently is, like most people do.
We believe this so deeply that we wrote a book with the exact 4 steps to help.
This guide is designed to take you out of that feeling of frustration and overwhelm and lead you into the calmness and clarity that you need to reach the life that you know in your heart you're destined to have.
If you've started a project or a goal but have stopped, gotten stuck, or are starting to feel burned out, this is 100% the book for you.
Go to IDKWTFpodcast.com today and download your digital copy with the coupon code ACTION to get it on us, because we want to join you and be your supportive friends and partners throughout your journey.
It's only free for a limited time if you use the code ACTION by going to our website, IDKWTFpodcast.com.
Check it out today and let's get unstuck together.
And welcome back. So we are kind of covering the real problem with like the state of the coaching industry right now. And I think it's great that like you're on the same page. We're all on the same page here. And because this is, there's 2 things that happen, right? So one thing where we keep spending all of this money to kind of get enrolled in these different courses is because a lot of time newer entrepreneurs, they have a hard time taking action. And so we spend money because we think it's action, right?
Well, we spend money and then we have a system to follow. Just like Nancy was saying, like if we don't know what to do, this person is giving me a 5-step system or a 12-step system or something. Mm-hmm. So sorry to interrupt, but I think that's like, for me, I love having like a little bit of direction. Mm-hmm. When I'm feeling a little lost, it's like, I just do these things.
Exactly.
It'll be magic.
It'll be the magical steps. So if I pay this money, I'm going to get the magical steps. But a lot of the times what happens is the newer entrepreneurs don't do the steps. Something like finishing a course, it's like less than 1% of people ever finish a course. Yeah, crazy low, right?
I didn't know that. That's okay.
Really, really low. And part of that is because the courses aren't made well, so they're not interesting, or they're hard to follow, or we get stuck on a certain place and we don't have that support to go through it. But the other part of that, which is what this podcast is all about, is a lot of times people have a hard time talking about when they're struggling. Mm-hmm. And so instead of having a community that they can talk to and like get some support, they just think, okay, maybe I'll go do something else, or maybe I'll keep following this guru that I've invested in. And if I invest the $15,000, this is going to be it this time, right? Yeah. Because they're not able to bounce their issues off anywhere else. And what's crazy is that the biggest self-education promoters out there, the biggest people like marketing how to start your business, I do feel they did a great job early on in 2020, kind of bringing the information out to everyone. But one thing I said back then was the reason they're making that information accessible to everyone is because they're doing something else. So they've already moved up to a different level of things. So they're sharing what worked for the last 10 years now that it's not working anymore. Right.
That is truth.
Yeah, because they're not going to give away their own business secrets 100% because then they're out of a job.
Well, I actually can give away their business secret 100%. If everyone wants to know exactly what it is that they're doing that's making them have billions or millions of dollars that you're not, would you like the deep, dark, dirty secret?
Yes.
Tell us. Do tell.
Okay. It's called, I'm going to spend $100,000 plus on marketing per week and per month. For example, Betty spent, according to Betty, I think she said she spent something like, for one event, $500,000 in marketing in a month. So their big dirty secret is that you're paying for their entire marketing budget. So congratulations. Absolutely. So if you guys have that, you're going to be rocking. But what they don't have is a way for you, newbie, to get in front of clients that is going to be particularly effective.
Yeah, that's going to actually be your marketing and sales, which is what you need to have a client base.
Yeah. Because their big secret is that they spend, and if you look and you start observing and saying like, I see a lot of ads from that person. Oh, because they're spending a ton of money. And then when they say to me, you can do this without ads. Really?
No.
But you couldn't.
Right. But I see your ad on every freaking YouTube that I turn it on and there's your face.
What's interesting, though, is what's happened is they've completely tapped out the market. And so it was about a year ago, they have nobody else to sell to because they've been spending so much money on marketing for the last 3 years. And what's crazy, what really made me see this was Matthew McConaughey's event. So what they're doing is they're bringing a big celebrity name, slapping it on exactly like you said, watered down YouTubeable content, and attracting 2.5 million people showed up for this event. And he ended up selling a $400 course, which he couldn't even like talk about what it was about because he didn't even know what was in it, And it was something like if only 1% of the people who showed up to that event bought it, they're making $8 million, and it's probably like 10%. So they're making hundreds of millions of dollars just by having a celebrity market something that says, hey, your life will be better if you buy this $400 thing. And you could see so many people were like, man, I can barely pay rent this month, but Matthew McConaughey is selling this and telling me it's going to help me. I should get it.
Yeah. The other thing is, if you notice the cost of their trainings, it just keeps dropping and dropping and dropping, like year over year over time. This, when you needed to spend $2,000 to buy a course a few years ago, it's like now they're selling stuff for $500, $600, $400. And you're like, so what am I getting? Because for me as a consumer, I'm looking at, well, that $2,000 course might have been worth something. It might have been hard for me to buy, right? But it's $1,000, $2,000. I can make that happen. But then now it's $400. Why is it so cheap? Aren't you guys supposed to be the best? Can't I go get a $400 course from like someone who's at home, with their kids trying to like make ends meet, who's like coaching, who I can like, they interact with me. They respond to me when I ask them questions, like just on social media. Like I could do their course for $400. So why do I want it? Like in my mind, that's where I'm going. I always am leaning towards small business anymore, like 100%. I'm like, no, if I can buy this through a small business, if I can use someone's service through a small business, like the big corporations it's the same with these big, huge names. And it's like $400. What am I really getting from you then?
But the problem
is nothing.
But people look at it and think like, because you have to understand their positioning. And they're so good at this. Like, they're like, look, we know it's been a tough year for you with COVID. And we, from the generosity of our hearts, I'm sorry, from where? We're going to give you this. We're going to take our program that's normally $2,000 and has cost us nothing for the past 7 years because it is completely recorded and we put absolutely nothing into it. And what we're going to do, give you this completely free to us program where we're going to drop the price from $2,000 to $500 because we care. They don't care. They don't care. They care
No,
about
they're
whether
trying
the
to catch
credit
all the
card
people.
is declined.
Yeah.
What's that?
They're catching the people who didn't spend $2,000. The people who
Yep.
said, I can't afford that, but now we're like, I can do it for $500.
And they care. And then I'm going to give you these extra bonuses, which, by the way, okay, another fun, enlightening thing. The bonuses you get are actually part of the original program. They are not extra exciting bonuses that were just thrown in. Every once in a while, there is something that is pretty good, but the likelihood of you getting that awesome bonus is we're trying to talk about less than 1%. So when you look at these things, you're like, but look what else it comes with. Look at all this. All the bonuses are coming directly out of their program or from something else that's free. You will never, ever get a bonus like, yeah, and get to go spend an hour with Betty. No, that's never going to happen. You're never spending an hour with Betty. You're never going to talk directly to Betty, and Betty is never going to speak to you. So, and that's makes me crazy. Yeah. I do think that this is one of those things I think a lot of people are experiencing and just don't even realize it. Like what you were saying with the money, they don't realize this isn't a deal. And it's just another variation of
Right. Well, and that's something David and I also were talking about, how to find like a group, a mastermind, a coach, like how to find those people and what you want to be looking for authentically with them.
Thank you for listening. This has been part 1 of our 2-part series on this topic.
The second episode will be out next week, if it's not out already.
If you enjoyed today's conversation, please consider liking, subscribing, and or reviewing us on wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Also, if there's someone you know who clearly doesn't know what the fuck they're doing and would benefit from this topic, please hit that share button and send them this episode.
Let's normalize the feeling of uncertainty.
Asking for help and admitting that we don't know
What the fuck we're doing either.